In this video, we're going to take a look at the Harrisburg Christian Church website. So we'll go ahead and get started by logging in. So you'll add /wp-admin to the end of your URL, and it's going to take you to a login page. You'll have a username and a password that you can put in here, and it should get you to a login screen or to the dashboard. So once you get here, the most important things to notice will be in this black dashboard over here. And in the video, I'll just work my way down through the pertinent items and we'll look through everything that's in use on your site and things that you need to know about. So I'm going to open another tab with the front end of the website so that we can look and view the changes and edits that we make and kind of go through it that way. So we'll just start at the top and work our way down. Under updates, these are plugin updates. You can update these if you would like. You don't have to. We regularly take care of these for you, so you can just ignore this if you'd like. Posts would be like if you had a blog post function on your site, but you don't have that in use, so we'll skip over that for now. Media, this is your media library. So this is where any images, PDFs, documents would be found on the site. So you can click add new here or add new here, and it's going to bring you a little box where you can either select or drag and upload files. So this is where you'll add new images, PDFs, logos if you ever update it, anything like that. Anytime you need to add media within the site or on a page or within a page on the site, it'll have that option. So you don't have to come back over here, but we just want to show you where this is and what this looks like. So if you click into an image, you'll see that there's some information here. So if I click edit image, I can crop and rotate the image if I'd like. So you can use any of these options and you would just hit save once you make an edit. So any adjustments can be made once you're on the site if you so need or desire. Another thing to note is that each file has its own URL. So in the instance with PDFs, for example, this URL will be used when you're hyperlinking things. So we'll paste it here and you can see this is the PDF file and it has its own specific URL. So if you want to hyperlink to this brochure, that's where you get the URL from, is the file URL right here. You can also delete media items if you need to from here. And that's pretty much everything within your media library. We'll move down to forms. Let's see if you have any forms on the site. Looks like you have a contact form. Is it in use? Yes, it is. So we have this contact form right here. So if we look at the form, if we click on it, we can edit the actual fields within the form. So name, email, message. We can add additional fields. So the fields are over here. I can drag additional fields. There's advanced fields. Let's say you wanted to add an additional field. I can drag it over here wherever I'd like to see it. I can make it a required field the same way that the other fields are required. I can edit the label. You can write anything you want there. Or I can delete it because we don't need that. So we'll go ahead and delete it. And then if you make any changes, you'll click Save Form right here, or you can preview the form here. You can also view the settings for the form and the entries for the form here. So if I want to see, I don't need to save my changes because I'm not editing. I'm not wanting to save those edits. I can see my test form here, so I can view all the entries from here. And then under settings, if we go to form settings, you'll see a few settings like the labels, nothing really you need to note here, but under notifications, this is the email to where your form is going. So this is the email that's receiving the form notification. So if you need to change that, you can change it here, or you can add additional by separating them by a comma. Then the from email just always needs to be from your domain, from your URL. This part doesn't matter. We usually use no reply, but it can be anything. It just has to remain from your URL, or otherwise sometimes the system experiences some issues if it doesn't come from its own URL. If you wanted to add a new form, you could click new form over here. We're going to leave because we didn't make any changes that we need to keep. And if you look here, you'll see that there's actually form templates, which is really awesome. And I would recommend using these if ever you're planning on doing like an event registration. So I can click preview and we can kind of just see what it looks like. So here's contact details, address, click through next. Okay, so it wants you to fill it out in order to click through it. So you can click use this template, and then you would just give your form a title and click use template. So then you can edit the fields by clicking on them and adjusting them over here, but this gets you started, and it looks like this is a paid event. So if you're doing something that's not paid, you'll want to kind of look through some of the other options. So simple contact form, advanced contact form, or you can do a blank form and then you can drag and drop your own fields onto the form. So let's say if you want to create a VBS sign up form, you can do that here by adding the fields all on your own. So advanced fields is usually where I start. You can add name, you can add phone number. Oops, it's freezing up on me. Well, it's freezing on me. I think my computer's been a little bit tough today. So typically you can drag these over here, and then you would click save form when you're done. So maybe I'll click that and it'll let me add more stuff. Let me refresh. Yeah, okay. So advanced fields, can add phone number, address, and then you can set things side by side. Then you can click the item that you want to edit and it'll let you edit the description, all of that. And you can add, let's see, radio buttons, checkboxes, drop downs, paragraph text, single line text, all of that. And you can kind of set up a sign up form that way. But those templates might also come in handy as you're editing and creating new forms. The other thing you'll just want to make sure is that you always set that notification to be an email that you check or whoever is going to be checking. So let's go back to forms. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And I'm going to delete these two that I created so that they're not in here when you log in. So we'll go ahead and delete those. And you'll notice that they end up in this trash folder here. Most things, when you delete them, end up in a trash folder where you can restore them if you've deleted them accidentally, or you can delete them permanently. I'm going to go ahead and delete them permanently because you don't need them. If you run into trouble, please just let us know. We're happy to help. And you can collect payment through the forms by adding PayPal, things like that. So if you do want to do that, that is possible, but just let us know and we can probably help you get that set up if you run into issues. So let's move on down to pages. This is where all of your pages are going to be located, including the home page. So let's go ahead and start with the home page, and then we'll maybe run through a couple of the other pages. So starting with the home page, you can see it's called home page and it's labeled as the front page. So I'm going to click into that, and you'll see that there's different page groups with different little sections within each group. And that will constitute each little page group that you see where there are sections. You can kind of see how they break up. So at the top is this revolution slider. So we've got shortcode here. So this means that we're actually using a different plugin over here, and we'll actually edit the slider itself using slider revolution. So when you see a shortcode, that means you're not really doing the editing here. You'll do it through a different plugin. So we'll go ahead and collapse that. Then let's go to the welcome. So then this is a word from our pastor. You can see that that's right here. And so you can edit this just like you would typically with any sort of word processor. You can type whatever, or you can type it somewhere else and copy and paste it. So for this particular space, you can see that there's a brown background. So if I go to background, you can see that the color is brown. I can change this color if I would like. And the color of the text is white, but in order to edit it, we use this formatting called white text so that it doesn't turn it white on the back end so that you can see what you're editing. So you can edit and adjust that here if you'd like. You also have the option to, this says toggle layout. This means you could make this section invisible for a bit. So if you want to, that takes it away and you can bring it back later, which is helpful if you're adding maybe something about an upcoming event or promotion, things like that. So moving on down, you'll see the same thing for service times. So these can be edited in the same way. Join us, same idea. And then down here we have the quick links. So this will be just a little bit different. So again, you've got a red background, white text here. You can edit the text. Editing how this lays out will be a little bit more difficult. I don't know that that's something available to you. So if you end up not liking the layout or something, you can reach out to us. That's not something we can continue to update and do on a regular basis, but always reach out to us if you have questions. We're happy to help. But editing the content is very simple through this process, and you can see that. So for the quick links, you've got a background image, you've got some info, and you've got a link. So this can be edited by clicking edit or removing, and you can just click and add a new link. You can add a different image by clicking this button here. Actually, it looks like we'll want to delete it if you want to do a different image, and then the label goes here. I think I can probably add a fourth one to show you as an example. And then that'll take us through the full homepage because the rest is just footer content, and so that is actually edited elsewhere. So let's go ahead and add an additional quick link in order to show you how it works. So I can click add here, or I can click add on any of these rows here. So let's go ahead and click add quick link. So we'll want to add an image. So this is where I can upload or just select something that's already here. Then it looks like we're using text in a heading 2 format. So let's say we want to do VBS. Heading 2, center it, and then we'll select a link. We can select any link from the site, so any page, or I can type in my own URL. So you can put any URL here that you would like, and you can open it in a new tab if you would like. Let's go ahead and click add link, and I'll click update, and let's see if that looks okay when I come and refresh over here. So you can see that when we go to another line, this button becomes larger. So you can add one big button down here. You can rearrange the order of these quick links. So I can drag and rearrange the order. They can be drug. Or you can add additional. So if you want to do like 2 lines, so add 2 more and they'll be even. So it'll work it out to make it look nice. And it already has the red overlay here. So we'll go ahead and remove this whole length. So click remove and we'll click update. So let's say you want to add just a full section, a full page section onto any page, the home page or any page. It would work much the same. So you can either add, let's see. The way I would suggest doing it is click add content section. And so then you've got standard button, info boxes, you've got different things. We have the click links that we're using, but let's just click standard page section. And from here we'll say oops. So I'm highlighting that and then we'll center it. Let's make this bigger text. We can bold, italicize, we can bullet number lists. We can add media within the text editor. Ooh, it's very big. So then we can make it smaller. So let's go ahead and delete that. All right, so then let's say we want to create a hyperlink. So I can paste a URL, or I can find the URL through here, or like I showed you earlier, if it's just to a PDF, you can grab that from the media library. So let's just pick something random. Now it's linked. I can also turn this into a button if I'd like. So I can leave this just with black text on a white background, or I can give it a little bit of depth through an image. So let's put an image in the background. And let's put a little bit of a color overlay in the background, maybe something blue. and we'll give it a little bit of opacity so you can kind of see through it. And then let's go ahead and come back over here, and I want to make all my text white. And then we'll refresh the homepage and see how it looks. My internet is a little bit slow today. All right, so here we go. There's the section. You can see the white text, you can see the image with the color overlay, and then you can see the button to the link to more information. So that's how you would add a section like that if you wanted to. And it would work the same way on any page. They will all work that same way. So again, you can hide it if you want to hide it for a bit. You can duplicate the layout if you'd like. Probably not necessary, but you could. And so how I did that was add content section, standard page section, and then you've got your editor. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the layout. Let me make sure it's the right one. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and remove that. Oops, remove layout. Going to remove this layout too. And then we're back to the page as it was normally. Let me just make sure it's loading correctly. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, so on some of the other pages, I think the events page has some interesting little boxes like this as well. So we'll take a look, make sure we look at the events page. I think a lot of the other pages are just copy within the page, and so those will be edited pretty simply like the simple text editors. Let me see if there's anything we need to look at. And then the contact us has the form. So I think let's just look at the resources page, and then we definitely want to look at the events page. So on the resources page, you'll see you've got the page group and the page section. You just want to decollapse it so you can see. And you've got a bulleted list with some hyperlinked links. So again, this is going to work in this same way. You can add content here by typing it, copying and pasting it. And if you want to add an additional content section, then you can add another one, and you can change that background color if you want to kind of set it off from the rest of the content already on the page. But we'll go ahead and remove that. And yes, it works much the same way. So I don't think there's anything else that you would need to know there. But if you run into questions, please let us know. But I think that's got you mostly taken care of. So on the events page, we're using an icon row here. So it kind of works like those quick links that we were using. So the width and icon is already set up. You don't need to edit that. It's got a graphic. It's got some information here, and we're not using any links. So it's kind of like those quick links that we did on the home page. You'll add an icon, click an image, and then you'll paste in your information here. And I like to just make sure it looks like the other ones. So I would just see what was already done, meaning it looks like we're using centered text. It's in heading 3 size for that header for the main label, and then the rest of the information you can kind of add as you see fit. So then this is hyperlinked, and it looks like it's also a button, which I showed you how to do on that other page. So you would add whatever info, add your image, add whatever info, and then if you want to link something, you can center it, format it as a button, and then hyperlink it to wherever you want it to go. And then if you want to remove something, you just click remove and you click update. So that's how you edit the events. So go ahead and leave because I didn't make any meaningful changes. I think that's really going to walk you through how to do all page edits. Like I said, if you run into issues or questions, just reach out. But I think that should get you going and give you a great start. So we're going to skip over a few things here. Some of this stuff is not stuff that you need to edit. It's just in place on the site. So we'll go ahead and move to appearance. This is the next important element on the site. So under appearance, there's widgets and menus that we want to look at. So we'll go to widgets first, and we'll leave because we don't need to save our changes. Under widgets, you will have header and footer information. So in the header, you have your logo, and so it's white, so you can't really see it, but that's your logo here. And then your navigation menu. And then in the footer, this is where you've got 2 visual editors. So this has your map And also within the editor, there's a text side and a visual side. So if you see this, you can know that there's a visual side to the editor where you can start editing things. So this is this section right here. So if these service times change, if your phone number changes, any of that kind of stuff, this is where you'll edit it, and you edit it the same way, hyperlinking the items, typing, copying, pasting, changing whatever needs to be changed. So it works in the same way as the page editors. You'll just click save down in the corner when you're done. And that's it. The next thing under appearance that you want to look at is menus. This is your menu up here. So how you edit it is you can edit the label or you can edit the link. So for pages that are already pages on your site, they'll show up over here under pages. And so you can click view all and you can select and add it to the menu and then just rearrange it where you would like it to go, make it a sub-menu item. You can change the label to whatever you want it to be, or you can remove it, or you can add custom links by pasting the URL here and adding the link text here. So if you go to pages and you add a new page, so that can be done by add new here. And you would do the same thing to add content like you did on the other pages. And then it's going to, once you publish it, it'll show up over here under pages. But if you want to link to an external place, you can put the URL here and whatever label you want. And that would be your custom link. And they can be dragged, rearranged. You can edit the label, all of that. So that's where that's done. Plugins is next. That's what's in use on your site. That's what all of these things are. If you find plugins you have questions about or want to know more about, just let us know. Under users, you can add users and make them admins. You can also change your password here. So if you click in, you can change your password to whatever you want. So that's an important piece for you. I'm going to skip over pretty much everything else here. You do have the map in use. If you change location, we can edit this. It's pretty self-explanatory. It should use just a map function where you can go to settings, or we want to go to maps. Oh my goodness. My internet. So we can click into the map and you can add an additional location. So you would type in whatever location and it's going to pull it up, and then that's how you would add it to the map, and then you would delete this one. Probably not anything that's going to happen quickly or relatively soon, but if you run into issues with that, just let us know. So the final thing to look at is slider revolution. This is what's in use on the homepage, and it's what's in use here at the top. And so you've got a graphic here, and then when the graphic is not in use, there's a static information and buttons with a background. So if you're going to continue to add sort of these items like this with a graphic, an easy way to do that is just to keep using this slide. So it looks a little bit intimidating. It's not super intuitive, unfortunately, but I think we can get you some helpful tips for just replacing graphics. So let's say this event is over and you want to just put a new graphic here. I can double click it and it's going to take me to the media library where I can select a new image, and then I'll click insert. So I'm going to undo that because we don't want that. But media library, select my image, click insert, and you would upload new files if you wanted to add something that wasn't already uploaded. So that's how you would edit this. You could also duplicate this particular slide and play around with it a bit. So let's say you want to make edits without messing up what's already on the site. What I usually recommend is to go ahead and duplicate that layer. come down here. So this is the same layer. It's just a duplicate. And then you can make it invisible by clicking this eye, and then it won't show up on the site. And so then you can start playing around with it, seeing what you want to make with it. So when you're using graphics like this, because your site is responsive, it's not going to respond because these elements are not responsive. So this image is going to stay one size as your screen size changes. So for instance, as your screen size changes, the image size is going to adjust at the same rate. It's kind of hard to explain but if you change the screen size here, then the elements adjust with it. So it just ends up being that you have to take a look and make sure you do it carefully. So for instance, you just want to look at each of these screen sizes and make sure that nothing is out of these bounds, because if it is, then it's going to look funky to the user. So you'll just make it as big as makes sense for each screen size. And then you can also adjust the background. So you can use a colored background and you can choose any color that you want. You can also choose an image as the background. So you can do something like that, or an image that looks similar to the image used, and you can use an image as a background. But you just want to make sure that you go through these screen sizes, and then you'll click save under each screen size. So starting from the beginning of the process, we'll go to, let's say we want to adjust this. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. I'm going to come down to the bottom. It's duplicated at the bottom. Make sure it's invisible. Now I can start playing around with it, adding my image, adjusting the size. And once you have it the way you like, so again, you can click here, double click, and it will let you select a new image. You can change the background through slide options, or I can make it a colored background if I don't want the image. And then once it looks how I want, I'll click save. And then I will go through each screen size, click save, and make sure it looks okay in each screen size and that nothing is out of the bounds of the blue lines. And in each layer, I will click save so that it saves my changes. So when you're ready, you can make it uninvisible and bring it back to the top, and it will be the first slide. The other thing to note is if you ever get rid of this slide, so let's say we go ahead and get rid of it, make it invisible right now. I'm going to click save. I think it will show up. The buttons will not show up. And this is because this is a static layer. This element and these two elements are static, and so they're going to stay while the image scrolls through in the background. So that is under global layers. So let's go ahead and go to this slide and go to global layers. So here's how you can adjust this. You click on each layer within the frame. So you've got 1, 2, 3 items. You got 2 buttons and this text. You'll click on static. It comes in on the second slide, meaning the very first slide doesn't have this information because you have the graphic. You can change this. It can come in on the first slide if you get rid of the graphic, or if you add 2 graphics, it can come in on the third slide. And then you do that with each element. So see how they all say 2, but it can be changed to say something else. And that's under layer options. So we'll go ahead and bring this one back, click save, and then delete this one because we don't want that. Just delete slide. All right. Let's go back and make sure everything looks okay on the home page. Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. The final thing I want to note is that if changes are not showing up the way that you would like, or somebody is saying that something looks off on the site, you do want to click clear and preload cache under WP Rocket here in order to make sure that the cache is cleared and things don't cache for people visiting your site. So that's pretty much your site. That walks you through most of the ways and things that you would need to edit. Of course, if you run into issues or you're not sure how to do something, please let us know and we'll be happy to help and take care of whatever you might have questions about.